Resilience is often misunderstood as mere toughness, but true resilience is far deeper than that. Toughness can crack, it can shatter, but resilience bends, adapts, and rebuilds. People who have been through hell and back understand this at a level that most cannot grasp. They have faced moments where everything seemed lost, when the ground beneath them collapsed and the weight of despair threatened to bury them alive. Yet, against all odds, they stood up. Not because it was easy, not because they felt strong at the time, but because something inside them refused to surrender. That inner force is what creates unshakable resilience. Resilience is not about avoiding suffering, it is born from it. The strongest people are not those who never fall, but those who fall 1,000 times and rise again every single time. Each fall teaches them something new: patience, resourcefulness, endurance, and above all, the realization that they can endure far more than they ever imagined. Where others might see permanent defeat, the resilient see another challenge to transform into growth. This shift in perception changes everything, because resilience is not about what happens to you, but about what you decide to do with what happens. Those who have walked through darkness learn to adapt quickly. They discover that life is unpredictable, that nothing stays the same, and that control is often an illusion. Instead of resisting change, they learn to flow with it, to adjust, and to build again, even when everything has been taken away. This ability to rebuild is what makes their resilience unshakable. It is not tied to circumstances, but to mindset. They know storms will come, but they also know they can withstand them. Unshakable resilience also comes with an inner calm. When you've already endured the worst, everyday problems lose their power to intimidate you. A delayed plan, a lost opportunity, or a temporary setback doesn't break someone who has been through true suffering. Instead, they meet obstacles with patience and a steady strength that others often find inspiring. It is not that they no longer feel pain or fear, but rather that pain and fear no longer control them. Resilient people carry a quiet confidence wherever they go. It is not loud, not arrogant, but deeply rooted in their lived experience. They know that no matter how fierce the storm, they have already survived worse. And that knowledge cannot be shaken, no matter what life throws their way. Empathy is often described as the ability to step into another person's shoes, but for those who have endured suffering, empathy goes beyond imagination. It becomes lived understanding. People who have been through hell and back do not just sympathize with pain, they recognize it in others instantly, because they have carried it themselves. They can hear the unspoken in someone's voice, notice the heaviness behind a smile, or sense the loneliness that hides behind silence. Their own scars have tuned them into the frequencies of human struggle in ways that comfort alone never could. When someone has survived loss, betrayal, heartbreak, or deep despair, they come to realize how invisible suffering often is. They remember the times when no one noticed their pain, when the world continued spinning, as though their brokenness didn't matter. This memory stays with them, shaping the way they treat others. Instead of brushing aside someone's tears, they sit with them. Instead of offering shallow words, they offer presence. They understand that sometimes healing doesn't come from advice, but from simply knowing that someone sees you and refuses to turn away. Deep empathy is not weakness, it is strength born of survival. It takes courage to open your heart after it has been shattered. It takes inner power to continue caring for others after the world has shown you cruelty. But those who have been tested by suffering know that the only way to truly honor their survival is to use it for connection. They channel their own pain into compassion, transforming wounds into bridges that reach the hearts of others. Their empathy often surprises people because it is not selective. They do not just feel for those who are kind, but even for those who lash out. They recognize that cruelty is often a mask for hurt, that the anger hides grief, and that judgment is born from insecurity. This does not mean they excuse harmful behavior, but rather that they understand the roots of it without immediately condemning. Their ability to look beneath the surface allows them to connect with others on a level that feels rare and profound. Deep empathy also creates an atmosphere of trust. People feel safe around those who carry it because they sense they won't be judged, dismissed, or abandoned. This safety allows others to open up, to be vulnerable, and to heal in the presence of someone who understands without needing to explain every detail. Quiet confidence is one of the most striking qualities found in those who have walked through suffering and emerged stronger. It is different from arrogance or bravado because it does not need validation or constant recognition. Instead, it radiates subtly through presence, body language, and energy. People who carry quiet confidence do not need to announce their worth. They embody it. Their strength speaks in silence, their calmness steadies others, and their certainty draws respect without demanding it. This form of confidence is born not from untested success, but from survival. When someone has faced life's worst storms and managed to rise again, they carry with them the unshakable knowledge that they can endure. They no longer need to prove anything to the world because their very existence is proof of resilience. They know they have already stood in the fire and survived. So the opinions of others lose their power. This freedom from external validation is what gives their confidence such a calm and steady quality. Quiet confidence also shows itself in the way they handle challenges. Instead of panicking or overreacting, they remain composed. They trust themselves, not because they believe they will never fall, but because they know they can get back up if they do. This trust in their ability to recover makes them unafraid of taking risks, trying new things, or stepping into uncertainty. Their calmness does not come from an absence of fear, but from the knowledge that fear no longer rules them. Another powerful element of quiet confidence is humility. Those who have been through suffering know how fragile life can be. They have seen failure, loss, and heartbreak, and these experiences keep them grounded. They do not feel the need to boast about their victories because they know the value of struggle. Their humility combined with strength creates an aura of authenticity that others find deeply reassuring. People naturally trust and follow those who do not need to shout about their abilities, but demonstrate them quietly through action and presence. This kind of confidence is magnetic. It draws people in, not through force or loudness, but through steadiness and self-assurance. Others feel calmer around them, more certain, more secure, because quiet confidence is contagious. It teaches that true strength is not about dominating a room, but about walking into it with a calm energy that says, without words, I know who I am, and nothing can take that away. Boundaries are not walls built to keep people out. They are shields designed to protect the dignity, energy, and peace of those who have learned through hardship what it means to be unguarded. People who have been through hell and back understand the cost of living without boundaries. They know how it feels to be drained by those who take without giving, to be manipulated by those who exploit kindness, and to be disrespected by those who confuse compassion with weakness. Their scars teach them a powerful truth: without boundaries, survival is fragile. With boundaries, survival transforms into strength. For them, boundaries become armor, not a heavy, rigid armor that isolates, but a flexible, protective one that allows them to move freely without fear of being harmed again. This armor is forged from experience. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every time they gave more than they could afford to lose became the fire that shaped their ability to say, "This is where I end, and this is where you begin." Boundaries are not about shutting love out. They are about ensuring love is mutual, balanced, and healthy. Those who carry boundaries like armor know the difference between helping someone and being consumed by them. They understand that saying no is not cruelty, but self-respect. They realize that their energy is sacred, and only those who honor it deserve access to it. This way of living changes the dynamics of every relationship. Toxic people find no foothold because manipulation cannot pierce the armor of a person who knows their worth. Guilt trips, emotional games, and silent punishments lose their effect because someone with strong boundaries no longer bends under pressure to keep peace at the cost of their soul. Instead, they choose authenticity over approval, self-respect over people, pleasing, and peace over chaos. Boundaries also allow them to give more deeply to those who deserve it, because they are no longer drained by those who exploit them. They have more love, time, and energy for the relationships that truly matter. Their yes carries weight because it is not given out of fear or obligation, but out of genuine choice. This makes their presence a gift, not something to be taken for granted. Boundaries like armor are the invisible strength of survivors. They do not make them cold or distant. They make them wise. They allow them to walk through life open, hearted yet protected, compassionate yet discerning, loving yet untouchable to harm. When a person has walked through suffering, their perspective on life shifts in profound ways. What once seemed ordinary becomes extraordinary, and what once felt small begins to carry immense weight. People who have been through hell and back often develop a deep gratitude for the simple things because they know how fragile and fleeting life can be. They have seen moments where even the basics of comfort, peace, or companionship were stripped away, and in that loss they discovered how precious those ordinary blessings truly are. Gratitude for the simple things is not about settling for less. It is about finally seeing the abundance in what was always there. A quiet morning with a cup of coffee, a genuine laugh with a trusted friend, the warmth of sunlight through a window, or even the relief of a safe place to rest at night. All of these become treasures to someone who has known chaos, loss, or emptiness. They no longer chase happiness in distant dreams or external validation because they have learned that true joy lives in the present moment, hidden within the everyday. This gratitude also transforms their energy. Instead of complaining about what is missing, they radiate appreciation for what is already here. Others may wonder why they smile over the little things, but that smile comes from a soul that remembers when even little things were absent. Their thankfulness is not shallow or performative. It is carved into their being through the contrast of suffering and survival. Gratitude for the simple things also deepens relationships. Survivors cherish loyalty, kindness, and presence more than grand gestures. They don't measure love by extravagance, but by consistency. A friend who shows up, a partner who listens, a family member who cares, these are treasures they guard closely. Having endured betrayal or abandonment, they value even the smallest acts of sincerity. This outlook makes them resilient against life's constant pursuit of more. While the world chases perfection, wealth, or status, those who carry gratitude find contentment in what others overlook. They understand that peace is not found in endless striving, but in appreciating what is already within reach. In their presence, others often feel calmer because gratitude has a way of grounding the heart and reminding it of what truly matters. Gratitude for the simple things becomes their quiet power. It keeps them humble, it keeps them present, and it turns ordinary days into sacred experiences that no hardship can ever take away. There is a kind of calm that does not come from meditation or comfort, but from battle. It is the calm of someone who has faced storms, endured chaos, and survived nights that seemed endless. People who have been through hell and back often carry this presence, a warrior's calm. It is not the absence of fear or pain, but the mastery of it. They have learned that panic solves nothing, that chaos feeds on reaction, and that true power lies in steadiness when everything else is falling apart. A warrior's calm is forged in fire. When someone has been broken before and still managed to rebuild, they no longer flinch at every challenge. They recognize patterns others miss, they measure their responses carefully, and they understand that energy wasted on fear could be channeled into strategy and endurance. This calm is not weakness, but discipline, a refusal to let external storms dictate the state of their inner world. In moments where others collapse under pressure, those with a warrior's calm become anchors. Their voice steadies, their actions remain deliberate, and their presence brings reassurance to those around them. People naturally look to them for guidance, not because they are the loudest, but because they are the most centered. They embody the principle that true strength is quiet, not noisy. It does not need to dominate to be effective. It simply endures, and in enduring, it triumphs. This calm is also deeply protective. Survivors know the cost of reckless reaction. They have felt how fear, anger, or despair can worsen a situation, so they have trained themselves, consciously or unconsciously, to hold steady until the storm passes. They no longer mistake urgency for importance or confusion for failure. Instead, they breathe, observe, and then act with clarity. This makes their every move more powerful, because it is not driven by impulse, but by intent. A warrior's calm is also contagious. In the presence of such steadiness, others feel safe. Anxiety softens, panic lessens, and hope begins to grow simply because someone refuses to be shaken. This gift cannot be taught in comfort. It is earned only by those who have stood at the edge of despair and refused to surrender. The calm they carry is proof that even in the darkest moments, the mind and spirit can remain unbroken. When someone has endured deep suffering and managed to rise from it, they often emerge with a clarity that others may spend a lifetime searching for, a sense of purpose. Hardship has a way of stripping life down to its essentials, showing what truly matters and what is merely distraction. Those who have been through hell and back rarely return to life unchanged. They begin to live with intention, with meaning, and with a direction that feels almost unshakable. A sense of purpose is not about grand achievements or external recognition. It is about alignment, knowing why you wake up each morning, what you are fighting for, and what values you refuse to compromise. Survivors often find that their suffering becomes a compass, pointing them toward paths that honor their pain by transforming it into strength. Whether through helping others, protecting what they love, or simply refusing to live passively, they carry a fire that guides them forward. This purpose provides resilience. When new challenges arise, they do not crumble as easily because they are not living aimlessly. Every difficulty becomes part of a larger story, and every setback becomes a test of their commitment. They see obstacles not as meaningless punishment, but as shaping forces, molding them into who they are meant to be. Purpose gives them the endurance to keep moving even when life is heavy, because they are not moving without direction. They know where they are headed. A sense of purpose also brings focus. Survivors waste less time on trivialities, gossip, or hollow pursuits because their energy is sacred. They understand how precious time is, having lived through moments when time itself felt like an enemy. Instead of scattering their attention everywhere, they channel it into what nourishes their soul, what uplifts others, and what creates lasting impact. This makes them appear determined, even unstoppable, because their actions are not random, but rooted in meaning. What makes this purpose even more powerful is that it often radiates to others. People who carry it inspire those around them, not through motivational speeches, but simply through how they live. Their clarity, their dedication, and their refusal to drift through life awaken others to examine their own direction. They become reminders that life is not about merely surviving. It is about living for something greater, something worth enduring the storms for. Wisdom is not measured by age, but by experience. Some people spend decades untouched by hardship, while others are thrust into storms that accelerate their understanding of life. Those who have been through hell and back often carry a wisdom far beyond their years, a depth that surprises others because it seems impossible for someone so young, or even someone so ordinary, to speak with such clarity. But pain has a way of teaching lessons that no book, classroom, or lecture can provide. This wisdom is born from seeing life stripped of illusions. Survivors know firsthand that nothing is permanent, that people can change in unexpected ways, and that comfort can vanish overnight. They have lived the fragility of existence, and so their insights come from reality, not theory. They understand that happiness is fleeting if it depends on external things, that peace must be built within, and that love is valuable only when it is genuine. These are truths that many spend a lifetime trying to grasp, but hardship delivers them in a concentrated form. Because of this, their advice often carries unusual weight. When they speak, it resonates, not because it is eloquent, but because it is real. They can comfort someone in pain without pretending to have all the answers, simply by acknowledging the reality of suffering. They can guide others towards strength, not from a place of superiority, but from solidarity, because they have walked that road themselves. This authenticity is what makes their wisdom so valuable, because it is rooted in scars, not theory. Wisdom beyond years also shows in how they approach choices. They are less likely to be reckless, not because they fear risk, but because they understand consequences more deeply. They weigh actions against long-term meaning, not just immediate gratification. Their perspective is broader, their priorities clearer, and their values less easily shaken. This makes them seem older than their age, carrying a maturity that sets them apart. This depth of wisdom often creates a quiet authority. Others naturally trust them, turn to them, and feel drawn to their guidance. Their eyes seem to carry stories unspoken, their words carry comfort, and their presence itself becomes a form of reassurance. This is the gift of those who have endured suffering. They emerge with a knowledge that cannot be taught, but only earned, a wisdom that shines through their actions and illuminates the lives of those around them. One of the most defining traits of those who have endured immense struggle is their courage to stand alone. This courage is not rooted in arrogance or pride, but in the deep understanding that solitude is sometimes the only path to truth, healing, and authenticity. People who have been through hell and back often discover that the company of others is not always safe, supportive, or aligned with their values. Betrayals, abandonment, and disappointments teach them that relying too heavily on external approval can become a prison. Through that painful realization, they find the strength to walk their own path, even if it means walking it alone. Standing alone requires a resilience that many fear to embrace. Most people cling to crowds because being surrounded feels easier than facing silence. But survivors learn to turn solitude into a source of power. In the quiet, they reconnect with themselves. They find clarity in their thoughts, strength in their spirit, and direction in their heart. They learn that loneliness is not the same as aloneness. One is emptiness, while the other is freedom. This shift allows them to face the world without the desperate need to belong everywhere. Their courage to stand alone also shows in their boundaries. They refuse to stay in toxic relationships, manipulative environments, or situations that erode their peace, no matter how much pressure they face to conform. They would rather endure temporary solitude than sacrifice their dignity. This independence frightens some because it demonstrates a power that cannot be controlled. They do not stay in places where they are not valued, and they do not compromise their truth for acceptance. This ability often inspires others. People watch them choose solitude over false connections and realize that strength is not about being surrounded, but about being unafraid of standing apart. Their courage becomes a reminder that authenticity is worth the cost, and that sometimes the loneliest roads are the ones that lead to the greatest freedom. When a person carries this courage, their presence changes. They walk into rooms with the calmness of someone who does not need approval to feel whole. They live with a quiet defiance, proving through their actions that standing alone is not a weakness to fear, but a strength to honor. It shows that they have learned one of life's deepest truths. Solitude can be the most powerful companion of all. There is something unmistakable about people who have walked through suffering and emerged on the other side. The light in their eyes, it is not the light of Nav, joy, or untouched innocence. It is a deeper, fiercer glow. It comes from having faced darkness and refusing to be consumed by it. Their eyes carry both the memory of pain and the triumph of survival, and when others look into them, they often feel as though they are seeing a whole story silently told. This light is not about perfection or constant happiness. It is about resilience. People who have endured storms and heartbreak know what despair looks like, but they also know how it feels to rise again. That rising leaves a trace a spark that does not fade easily. It becomes a living reminder that even in the deepest night, there is always the possibility of dawn. Their eyes shine because they know what it means to lose hope and what it means to find it again. The light in their eyes also reflects gratitude. Survivors often carry a profound appreciation for life's smallest blessings, and that gratitude creates a glow that no amount of suffering can dim. They see beauty where others overlook it. They find meaning in moments others rush past, and they cherish connections that others may take for granted. This quiet appreciation transforms their gaze, making it softer yet more powerful, because it comes from someone who has truly learned the value of what remains. It is also a light of courage. Having endured what many fear, they no longer hide behind masks. Their eyes do not seek constant approval because they know their worth is not defined by external validation. Instead, their gaze is steady, carrying both honesty and strength. This courage draws people in because it feels real and unshakable. It speaks without words, assuring others that they too can endure, that survival is possible, and that brokenness can still shine. Perhaps most strikingly, the light in their eyes is contagious. When others see it, they feel a quiet hope ignite within themselves. It reminds them that pain does not erase beauty, that hardship does not destroy the spirit, and that even after being broken, a person can glow in a way that is even brighter than before. This is why the eyes of survivors often stay in people's memory. They are living proof of human resilience made visible. There is a unique authority carried by those who have endured great suffering and risen again. The power to inspire others. This power does not come from lofty speeches or polished appearances. It comes from authenticity, from lived experience that cannot be faked. People who have been through hell and back embody resilience in a way that naturally influences everyone around them. Their presence itself becomes a story, one that whispers survival is possible, healing is real, and strength can be born from brokenness. Inspiration drawn from such individuals is different from motivation found in books or fleeting words. It is visceral. When someone sees another who has walked through unimaginable darkness and still manages to stand tall, it awakens something within. It tells the observer that their own struggles do not define their end. It breathes hope into spaces where despair has taken root. Survivors may not even realize how much impact they have because their daily act of simply moving forward becomes an act of leadership for those who are watching quietly. The power to inspire others is rooted in vulnerability as much as in strength. When survivors share their pain honestly, they give permission for others to embrace their own wounds. They break the illusion that strength means perfection. Instead, they redefine strength as persistence, as the refusal to give up when life feels unbearable. This authenticity is magnetic because people are not inspired by flawless images. They are inspired by real stories of falling, breaking, and rising again. Another reason survivors inspire others is the hope they radiate. Even in their silence, there is a message. If I made it, you can too. Their scars become symbols of possibility, not shame. They transform suffering into a testimony that pain can be endured and still lead to growth. They embody the truth that life after tragedy is not just survival, but transformation into something more powerful than before. The power to inspire others is not forced. It flows naturally from a life lived with courage, truth, and perseverance. People feel it in their words, in their actions, And even in their calm presence, it reminds the world that even in the face of hardship, human beings can rise, and in rising, they can light the path for others to follow.